Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our spoiler-free review for Disney and Pixar's Hoppers. How did he get a little crown? Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. My name is Nate, and this is our spoiler-free review for Disney and Pixar's Hoppers. A special beaver-sized thanks to our human friends at Disney Studios Canada and Pixar for inviting us to see this movie early for review. If you're joining us for the first time, we are Geekcentric, a podcast celebrating the world of movies, TV shows, video games, and all things Geekcentric. Now, there is no way that I'd be able to save the Glade all by myself. No way! I'd need two human-sized humans to help me with our human review of this human-made movie. First up, he's the diligent and determined, deep-diving, dam-building, habitat-hopping Hudson.
Hello.
How you doing? You ready to build a dam?
Sure. I mean, building is part of the party, apparently, so...
Dude, welcome to the party. I'm so excited. Yeah. But listen, floating along the pond behind him, he's laying down the law, the J-Law. He's Justin, the lanky, loyal, lab-loving, lumber log-licking Lawrence.
Log licking.
You ever lick a log?
Not that I can recall.
You ever have what are those? Don't they have those?
Have you
cakes?
licked a log?
Dude, what are those cakes? Those, they call them logs or something, like the chocolate cake with the cream inside?
Are those Swiss rolls?
Oh, those are Swiss rolls, not logs.
It's a different kind of log.
Yeah.
I see
maybe a
where you're
Yule
going with
log,
that.
a bigger version of that. I don't know.
A Yule log. That's what I was.
In Canada.
Yes, a Yule log. How's it going, guys? I'm excited to talk about a new Pixar movie. We're talking about Hoppers. Before we jump in, have either of you ever seen a beaver in person, and when?
Yes, multiple times. Pretty much anytime I've gone camping or on the lake in a canoe type thing.
Yeah, swimming along.
I'm pretty sure I've seen a beaver at your cottage, like your old cottage back in the day.
Yep, we had a dam nearby at my old cottage too. So yeah, I've seen a lot.
Yeah, I think that's when we went in one of the pontoon boats.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, vaguely remember, but yes, I've seen a beaver. I'm pretty sure I've seen a beaver in the Newmarket area.
Really?
I mean, probably.
Just chilling.
Wow.
Yeah.
This close,
There's dams to
within
be
the
built.
city. There's dams to be built. I'm not gonna lie. The reason I wrote this question is I can't think of the last time that I saw a beaver, and it's bothering me a lot.
Have you seen a beaver tail?
I've seen a beaver tail. I've eaten too many beaver tails. Absolutely. For those who are listening outside of Canada, beaver tails. We don't actually eat beaver's tails. They are a confectionary treat. You should get one. They're quite delicious. They are, right? Yeah.
Flat donut.
Yeah.
It's a flat donut with some whipped cream.
Yeah.
And sometimes some other fun toppings.
Yeah. I always get the Reese's peanut butter one. It's good.
Yeah, for sure. If you come to Canada, you get a poutine, and
a beaver tail. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then go see Hoppers.
Double bill.
Starring the beaver. These are American beavers we're going to be talking about, but still, I think we claim beaver. I think we get beavers. You know what I mean?
It's our animal, isn't it? Isn't it our animal?
On a coin?
It's our...
We have it on a coin.
No, but
Isn't
our
Yeah, pretty sure it's our national animal too. Actually, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's our national
Pretty
animal.
sure.
The beaver is Canada's national animal. Come on, guys. What the?
Well, listen, if you're listening right now, write in. Let us know Canada's national animal and if it is a beaver.
Well, the internet can tell us very
Has
quickly.
been for the last 50 years.
Okay.
There you go.
Great.
Yeah.
And
Nate's not Canadian.
It'll never change. Listen, I haven't even seen a beaver. What the heck?
Yeah, exactly.
Though I did see a lot of beavers in this movie. Let's talk about it. Let me start with the synopsis. What if you could talk to animals and understand what they're saying? In Disney and Pixar's all-new feature film Hoppers, scientists have discovered how to hop human consciousness into lifelike robotic animals, allowing people to communicate with animals as animals. The adventure introduces Mabel, an animal lover who seizes an opportunity to use the technology, uncovering mysteries within the animal world that are beyond anything she could have imagined. The film is directed by Daniel Chong and produced by Nicole Paradis Grindle, and features the voices of Piper Curda, Bobby Moynihan, and Jon Hamm, as well as additional cast including Kathy Najimy, Aparna Nancherla, Sam Richardson, Eduardo Franco, Dave Franco, Vanessa Bayer, Melissa Villaseñor, Steve Purcell, Karen Huey, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., Ego Nwodum, Nicole Sakura, and Meryl Streep. The movie releases exclusively in theaters on March 6th, 2026. So, I think whenever it comes to talking about a Pixar movie, if you've listened to our recent Pixar reviews of the last few years, you've probably heard us say this a bunch of times, but we got to talk about the look and feel and just how good they are at making just the most beautiful animated films. Somehow they top themselves every single time. But let's talk about Hoppers. Let's talk about maybe what stands out from their other films, and if you found any other similarities. So I'll throw it to the two of you. What did you think about the look and feel of Hoppers?
I mean, again, like you said, they just keep upping themselves every time they release one of these movies, because the texture game, like we always talk about it, they're great at it. In this movie, it's like a full showcase. Every type of fur you can imagine is brought to life so vividly on this screen, and the grass, the leaves blowing through the trees, like it feels like such a lived in and natural environment while still maintaining that Pixar look. It's so beautiful. And again, just taking it further to the characters, I think one of the things I loved about Win or Lose is when they leaned into the more animated side of things, when characters got larger than life, if you will, or their faces change shapes. And we're seeing that carried through this movie. When people get angry, their body language changes, and it comes off differently, and the animals do the same thing too. So yeah, they're just one up themselves across the board. The look and feel is fantastic in this entire movie.
Yeah, I think there's something cool that's happening visually with Hoppers that it genuinely feels like old Pixar meets new Pixar. The character designs have the classic rounded expressive charm that immediately reminds you of the studio's early originals, and like just traditional animations, the very very emotionally forward with their faces, like in terms of their facial expressions, exaggerated in the right ways, but layered into that is more of the as you were mentioning, Darcy, that anime, or as I would say, like the modern animation language that feels closer to Turning Red or Win or Lose. Like you said, these were both very different for Pixar in terms of the character design and the animation style. Again, slightly heightened expressions, more stylized movements, and moments where the animation leans into the emotional subjectivity of the moment, right? Like in a lot of ways. And there are scenes where the lighting and the color just in this film, just that feels so warm, and feels very nostalgic too at times. I feel, just with that warmth of nature and so on. But everything is sharp. It's still moody in all the right ways, and I think it can be a little unsettling at times. It goes dark. It definitely gets dark at parts of this story, and I think that blend of I guess comfort really helps to support the tone of this movie in a lot of ways. And it just feels like it doesn't feel like Pixar is chasing like trends to try to like reinvigorate, like change how they animate or how their characters looks. It feels like this is like an evolution, like they're evolving, right? Because I think that's what's really nice, is that we're seeing that through these films, is this evolution of the studio style.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Darcy, you mentioned the fur textures, the fluffiness. You like, there were so many times where I'm just like, I want to hug that. I want to squish that. I want to hold that. I want to squish it even harder until its eyes pop out. I need a Mabel or King George beaver plushie ASAP. Disney, please. But I also want to mention too, Justin, you talked about the way the facial expressions are kind of done in a slightly different way, and especially this time around, the eyes on these characters is so well done, and it's brilliant because they bake the look of these characters into elements of the story. We do spend time getting to see from the human's perspective side of things and from the animal side's of perspective side of things, and you'll see that when we're on the human side, we're seeing these cute little beady black eyes that look like Beanie Babies, if you're familiar with Beanie Baby, or just I guess any plush like teddy bear or what have you, which makes them look incredibly cute and endearing as they're trying to squeak while they're trying to talk. But then as soon as we get to their perspective, we get to hear them speaking in our language. Their eyes are big, expressionful, full of expression, and then they also have different hair or little details that maybe you don't really see from the human side of thing. And I think that was so clever and so smart in the way that they're able to play with that as a story element and as a way to sort of inject humor at times was so good. So fantastic.
Absolutely.
And then I also wanted to just mention the way that, like, I do love that the world, we talked about how Pixar seems to be upping the look of these animated films over and over and over again. The characters that are so full of expression have those like elements from Turning Red that you mentioned, but then set in this like picture perfect, beautiful forested area, city area. The story's set in Beaverton, which, by the way, I know it's Beaverton in Oregon in the States, but it was nice to hear them say Beaverton over and over again because I did grow up for many years in Beaverton, Ontario. So it was like I was like, oh, okay, I get it because the
you
beavers.
Didn't know that the beaver was our national animal? God.
They weren't teaching me right in Beaverton, I guess. But it felt great, even though it was a different Beaverton. It was great to hear Beaverton on the map in like how we had Toronto.
Say Beaverton one more time. Say Beaverton one more time.
But no, I think the other big thing to also mention has a lot to do with the music. I think the music is really, really lovely in the movie as well. Adds the emotional heart that you need it to. But then there's also there are like, I think maybe one or two, maybe just one needle drop that just hits so perfectly. We talked about partying. Or as the Beavers call it, working, or the other way around, I guess. We call it working. They call it partying. That is definitely a standout moment in the movie. And it's just such a fun way, again, to sort of show the overall message of the movie of humans and animals working together, right?
We're human.
But let's talk about some of those humans that maybe lent their voice to this movie and talk about some of these performances. I think we have to start with Mabel Tanaka, Piper Curda, who I personally don't know from too many other things that they've done, but I think she was great. I think she's instantly charming, and I think it's also so wonderful to have a character who we're following primarily at the age of 19. She's got a sort of a punk rock attitude, but a lot of times with Pixar movies, it is more from the perspective of a younger character. And I know we've had, Elemental was kind of like a rom-com that did feel a little more adult and what have you. But I think this was, and then you've got Soul as well. But I think this movie really, it helps it to stand out even further by giving us a character who is technically an adult.
Yeah, she's not too young. She's not too old, right? I think she's at this perfect age where she's discovering herself and the things that she's passionate about. She's in university. I think it's a different point in a character's life, and I think again, it's very much, I said this to you, it's its own coming of age story in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Piper is fantastic as Mabel. I think much like the iconic kids that have come before her that have played lead characters in a Pixar film, like in I can't think of any of the actors, but I'll just list off the movies like Luca,
Mm-hmm.
Turning Red. We have Coco, Elio as well. Most recently, like these are actors that we were not fully aware of, but they're bringing so much like of a performative quality to it, and they're surprising us in so many ways, right? Because they're having so much fun with it, and I think Piper gives Mabel so much sincerity and emotional grounding, and she's also hilarious in her line delivery, especially when she gets into the mind of a beaver, and I think again she's the heart of the film without ever feeling overly sentimental. She's her sentiment is, she carries her sentiment differently, and I think it's driven by a desire to want to fix things and correct things, and she does it so effortlessly. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a vulnerability there, but also a strength, and it helps to anchor this story, and in a lot of ways the emotional core of the film, because it's not a kid, it's not an adult, it's someone that is still, it's in the middle, they're figuring it out. So I think a lot of people are going to relate to that, and even for adults who grew up with Pixar films that are at the age like myself watching this movie, you identify with that age and where you were at. So yeah, I think she Piper was fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Pixar's always done well in casting their lead roles to be almost just that version, animated version of the actor themselves, because again, it's so close to home, and the energy she brings, she just feels so full of life. And within the first 10 minutes, you understand
Mhm.
Mabel entirely. And a lot of it comes down to with how she's delivering a lot of these lines and how Pixar decided to tell this story at this stage in her life. So it's really cool. Again, it's the Pixar route where they want to tug your heartstrings, but they're not going all out like Up. It's just it's more of a subdued heartstring tugging.
Yeah, and shout out to making her skateboard. I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
totally badass, and it just adds to the rebellious nature of the character. It feels a little cliche to a certain degree, but at the same time, given I think who she's grown up with, and the family influence, I think that might have a little bit of that influence there. So I loved that aspect of Mabel's character, and yeah, it was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and I think the movie does, to your point, Darcy, as well. Like with how simple her story is, her connection to the Glade, why it's so important to her. But then I think the movie does such a good job at wasting no time in getting you fully behind her as a character.
Mhm.
Even though there's moments where she is being quite reckless, and you would sort of be like, "Hey, maybe maybe calm down a little bit here." But no, you every step of the way, you're kind of right there with her. Let's talk about Bobby Moynihan as King George. Darcy. We both were. Justin, you were sitting a little further away. I'm sure you were chuckling just as much.
Mhm.
But I could hear Darcy laughing at King George. He's Bobby Moynihan has such a lovable voice and demeanor as this character. I think I like that he plays this character as like, it just sees the good in everyone, and even to his own detriment. At times, he's so lovely. I think they could have gone a very different direction with a king style character. And the fact that we got this like good King George was so lovely. Darcy, what did you think of Bobby Moynihan in the role of King George?
I mean, he's perfect as King George. Again, I can't wait to hear his voice used in other Disney things, because just the way his line delivery, how he just says things that are normal things, but somehow by Moynihan's voice coming out of a beaker makes it hilarious.
Yeah.
And I just love that. Like anytime he's on screen, like you said, he's eternally optimistic, and you can't help but feel for the guy and want to believe in everybody in the movie as well, because come on, King George is doing it. Why not? Like again, he's so
Mhm.
lovable. Yeah, perfect casting for that one as well.
Oh yeah, he pulls at your heartstrings. You feel for King George, and I think the sort of I guess the naivete that George has, Bobby Moynihan just plays it flawlessly. He's
Hmm.
so trusting, he's so loving, he's so kind. He just assumes everyone's really nice, and it just exudes to get that impression of a person through their voice is outstanding. So I think he does it with all the heart that he actually has as a person. And it's funny because I didn't put this all together until after kind of hearing more about this film, but um Daniel Chung is the creator writer of We Bear Bears, and Bobby Moynihan was played the panda Pan
Yeah.
on the show as well. So there's that connection, and knowing that now, and having seen the film, and just seeing the little undertones, and especially the focus on, I mean, it makes a lot of sense why Daniel on nature, sorry, the focus on nature. It makes a lot of sense that Daniel would uh, do a story like this that might
Hmm.
be really personal to him. But yeah, going back to Bobby and just this, iconic role of King George, he's going to steal your heart. He's going to steal your heart. You're going to love
Yeah, and I love how quick he delivers some of these lines, especially when he's
him.
like greeting the different animals by their names. Like he knows like all like, "Hey Tom, hey LaQuisha." Like he just knows all of every single
LaQuisha.
ant. He knows every single bird. Like it's fantastic. I think
Peter, Peters. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Kevin, and Kevon. But no, I thought he did such a phenomenal job, and explaining the pond rules. He's perfect.
Oh yeah.
Jon Hamm is in this movie. as Mayor Jerry Generazzo. Mary. Jon Hamm was such a wonderful choice for this chaotic, very sort of this character that like you can see and understand why people are so charmed by him as like the get stuff done mayor-elect. But at the same time, you're also like, you're with Mabel, so you kind of want to hate everything that he's about as he's working to get this the glade taken away and putting in this this highway. Justin, what did you think of Jon Hamm as Mayor Jerry Generazzo?
He was outstanding. I think you can tell he's absolutely having the time of his life doing this, and he's enjoying being this wildly egotistical politician who just has no care, no resolve. He just, like you said, he thinks he's hot shit, and so he's leaning in hard, and it's like the right level of theatrical with like self-important ridiculousness to it. Like it's just
Yes.
it's really good. He and he knows it. That's the thing. Like he knows it. So that confidence just makes the whole satire of it just hit in the right spot. So I think, yeah, he was a perfect choice for it, and he had fun with it. I think we could have gotten a little bit more of him, but I think as we'll talk about with story, you can tell like there was a unique pacing choice in terms of how they structured this to focus on both the pawn side and the human side, if you will.
Well, and I think there's a phenomenal montage as well that I just can't stop thinking of, where he is just on top of the world and he thinks that everything is going, it's going his way. Darcy, what did you think of Jon Hamm?
I loved him again. Like you said, it was perfect in the role. He's hamming it up, like you said. It reminded me of those skip the dishes ads he used to do, where it's just yes. the again, egotistical, full of himself, but you can't help but love the guy because he's just so charming. Like everything about him worked. And I think what really worked for me was that he wasn't just this generic, foil to our protagonist and Mabel. Like he was his own character. And like King George says, you got to try and see the good in everyone. And so throughout the course of the movie, you're kind of forced to see things from his perspective by the end there. And I like how it came full circle, and he served a perfect role in this movie. Again, like he was the enemy until he was just again another guy, and I loved him every step of the way.
And you know what? You even just saying that, I won't reveal exactly what it is, but there is a very specific connection, a relationship that he has that is exactly what Mabel has. So seeing that parallel of these two completely, opposite characters, and the way the movie's shot and the way that they have it structured right off the bat, you do get to sort of see how they are more similar than they are different. And that's a great point.
I mean, I think my favorite part about this movie is the first time you see these two characters, like in the current timeline, they just start screaming at each other, and you can't hear a word that either one is saying. Like they're matching each other's energy too perfectly, and it just gets better from there, basically.
Oh, dude, 100%. This cast is so big and wonderful, and I don't think there's a weak link anywhere. So before we continue, I do want to throw it to you two to just sort of bring up any random one you want. I'm going to jump in just with one really quick, which surprised me, and I didn't recognize it right away, but I had a feeling, and I think we all did, and that is Loaf, played by Eduardo Franco. Loaf is, if you haven't seen the trailer, he's just the dullest looking beaver you've ever seen, and his eyes are just completely closed the entire time, and he's just expressionless and so perfect. And as I was watching the movie, I'm like, damn, that reminds me of Argyle from Stranger Things. And that's because it is Argyle from Stranger Things, Eduardo Franco. Such a lovable character. He actually surprises you a few times in the movie with even just how capable he actually is. And so, yeah, I know I said earlier I wanted King George plushies or Mabel plushies.
No,
I need a Loaf plushie, Disney.
I feel like Loaf is your spirit animal for sure.
I feel like maybe that might be the case. Absolutely.
I could see you chilling on a rock just being like, what?
Yeah, we're just loafing. We're loafing around.
Loafing, bro.
I'll throw it to you too. Who did you want to bring up?
Oh, dude, it has to be Dave Franco. Honorable mention goes to Meryl Streep. But Dave Franco, bro, unhinged. Just fully committed to this role, and his
didn't
line
recognize it was
delivery.
him. I did not recognize it was
I
him.
recognize-
His voice is pitched
Well, I
up a
knew he
little
was
bit.
in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew he was in it, but like as soon as I heard that voice, I was like, it just reminded me of the season finale of the studio, where he's in that episode. and he's just
Exactly
fucking
the
drugged
same,
out.
like just amped
Yeah,
up
exactly.
energy.
Yeah. Whoa, man! Like just it was intense, but it's definitely a different tone. And I loved it. I thought it was great. When he shows up, the movie shifts for sure, and the energy changes. The tension gets a little more tight. He brings this chaotic unpredictability to his character that genuinely changes the trajectory of the film, in my opinion. And I absolutely loved it. I think every scene he's in feels like it could go off the rails. You know what I mean? Just because of how unhinged he is. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think he was outstanding. And yes, honorable mentions to the Queen, Meryl Streep.
Of course.
I mean, I got to call out the whole science team behind Mabel's hopping experience, because Sam Richardson, Kathy Najimy, and Aparna Nancherla are just incredible.
Yeah.
It's the way they're reacting to this. Like, these are scientists whose life is built around studying animals, and just watching them react to these facts about the animal kingdom that they never knew is just pure gold. And then even seeing them like in their own hopping experience, just how that plays out in certain situations is always great. So like, yeah, just again, across the board, fantastic cast. And one more honorable mention for me has to be Tom Lizard or Tom Law, because
Oh yeah.
just the greatest little closing jokes for scenes. Like, that's my favorite type of humor, is just when you get the last word in, or before you cut away to a different scene, you just hear one guy, and it's always seemed to be Tom Lizard who's just saying the best thing. Like, it's so good.
Fantastic. Let's get into the story again. We are going to keep things completely spoiler free, but I will throw it to either of you. Who wants to kick us off talking about how they might have enjoyed the story of Hoppers?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, I liked Elio a lot, and while a lot of it worked for me, there was some stuff I didn't. I found myself through this entire movie just enjoying the ride. I thought the pacing was really great. They spent the time where they needed to tell the story in the way they wanted to, and just the outcome and overall message of the story was just, again, really good. Pixar always picks really solid themes to tell a story around, and this one the theme seems to be like, even good intentions can have bad consequences, and just the way that shapes this story, and you see it from a lot of different angles throughout the telling. I think it was really good. Again, I really enjoyed it.
I love that, Darcy, because you got that message, which I completely agree with. In fact, might even agree with it more than the one that I got. But I got like, we're all in this together. We're all part of one big, right? But it's, again,
That's part of it too.
That's one of the beautiful things about the way Pixar does their storytelling, is that they're able to sort of connect in so many different ways to so many different people. I liked so much that this story, to me, as much as it did feel different and it shakes things up and doesn't feel like a necessarily conventional Pixar story. I think if you were to like, tell someone about the story, they'd be like, "You're crazy. That sounds ridiculous." But I think I still feel like the story was nice and simple. I think the motivations of all the characters are introduced in ways that don't require too much exposition. And even if there is exposition in terms of how the movie works and how the rules, the pond rules or the rules of hopping work, they're always covered up. Any exposition is covered up by humor in such a brilliant way that Pixar does so well that you're laughing too much to realize that you're being told and not shown. But I do think the movie shows a lot as well, which is really good. And yeah, that humor throughout. I don't think there was a moment watching this movie where we were laughing like very consistently throughout the entirety of the movie. And so much of that, to your point, Darcy, I think has to do with some of that We Bare Bears humor in there, and even just like the more modern style of humor of like, we have to do this one really big thing, and then just in the corner, just okay, like it's just those little dumb, stupid little lines that aren't actually that funny, but are so funny when you're sitting there watching this epic moment followed by something just so casual and silly. I absolutely adored the story. Justin, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think it's funny because yes, it's heartfelt, but it's also not afraid to get uncomfortable and like kind of push the boundaries. The story is definitely exploring themes of identity and power and control in ways that feel genuine while also being surprisingly honest. I think it's there's a little scariness to it at times. I think the film it pushes into the territory that feels more comfortable with ambiguity, and not necessarily being so boxed in. It's able to feel a little more raw, um, than we sometimes expect from Pixar. And I think, like you said, Nate, it doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't soften the edges. That's what makes it actually really work. Is just how forward it is in its approach for its storytelling that feels different from other stories. Like we were talking about this, I think, uh before, just the idea of, like, original stories like this and original approaches and shifting things needs to happen at Pixar, so that they can do other films that aren't necessarily their franchise films, their Toy Story and their Incredibles, or if they do another Finding Nemo or Monsters Inc., whatever. There needs to be new stories. And I said to Nate, since Turning Red, we've really kind of seen that, right? There was a couple movies in between that probably pushed us back, but I definitely think that, like, the three that I'm thinking of are Turning Red, Win or Lose is a series, but still very influential in the animation. And then you have, and the storytelling as well. And then you have, obviously, Elio, that feels kind of derivative of the two styles together. So here we're at a very interesting point with Hoppers, where, everything feels like old meets new blended together. The humor is very disarming. All of the heart it just pulls you in. And then the themes just land really hard. It feels like a big swing, and it's one that proves that there is still original stories to tell at Pixar, and that can challenge audiences instead of comforting them and making them feel like, oh, this is Pixar, right? Like, there's elements that can say, oh yeah, this is Pixar, oh, but this is new. And that's what I really loved about this story from Hoppers.
And it just off that point that you just said there, like the feeling of like, oh, this is Pixar and this is new. I think you're right. I think that happens multiple times throughout the movie, and throughout my experience of watching it, I felt that. And there was a very specific moment, and I'm not going to reveal exactly what it is, but there's a very specific moment within the first, I want to say, maybe 10 minutes of the movie, where Darcy literally heard me say, no, don't do it. And like, not again, or something. I said, oh, please don't do this again, Pixar, or something.
That might give it away a little bit.
Maybe just a little bit. But just in the sense of, like, again, they handle that differently. They get you to feel the similar emotions to maybe a previous one of their stories, but then they handle it in a way that does feel a little more different for Pixar.
No, you're just hinting.
I just think, no, listen, if people want to dive in, and
there's only one movie that in the first 10 minutes crushes you, man. There's only one movie in Pixar.
I'm talking clearly
it's not
about
very. It's
The Good Dinosaur. Actually, that movie is pretty sad at the beginning. Anyways, let's get to our final thoughts, and I'd love to rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 5. Lizard. So Darcy, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. I mean, again, I love this one. I don't know what it is about this movie that worked so well for me, but I think we've talked about it. It's a fantastic cast, incredible looks and look and feel. Again, just showcasing Pixar at its finest, how far they've come since Toy Story, where they couldn't do any textures, and that's why they told a story about toys. And now we are talking a full story about a lot, like a thriving ecosystem of all sorts of animals, and they all look incredible. So that is one thing. And then the story itself, it worked for me. The humor worked. The pacing was fantastic. Again, a lot of it comes down to this cast really selling it with their performances, but this was just a magic masterpiece in my opinion. So this was an easy 5 out of 5 Lizard for me.
It's funny because Hoppers feels like it's Pixar reminding us who they are and who they're becoming. That's what this film feels like. I think at its heart, what I love about this film is that Hoppers, outside of the stuff that we talked about, right? The look and feel, the animation, it is amazing. It's incredible. The textural elements are phenomenal. The performances in this are as good as any of the other performances that we've got, as iconic and as memorable as any of the other performances that we got from other Pixar films. But here, I think at its heart, Hoppers is wrestling with a very powerful idea. And you mentioned it, Darcy, which it's just had me thinking about it. And that is, good intentions can lead to negative consequences. The film doesn't shy away from that. It explores how trying to fix something even with empathy and even with hope, can spiral when, you know, egos and control, or even or fear uh, or just general fear enter your sort of thought process, you know what I mean, into the equation. And I think that we see that through Mabel's journey. And that honesty gives, I think, this movie a sense of a real weight, while still being funny and heartfelt. It's not it's not afraid to, you know, be brave and explore the unsettling parts. So I don't know, that's it worked for me. I loved it. It had all the elements of what you would know and love from Pixar, but it was so forward in its approach. It takes risks, and yeah, I think, like I said before, it's proof that storytelling at Pixar can still surprise us, and it needs to be. New stories are always hugely beneficial. So yeah, it's a 5 out of 5 for me too.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I think I agree with all of that. I think it's interesting because I was trying to think like, okay, Leo to this, what worked better for me, and really sitting with it. I do think it was this. I think, you know, Pixar, as you were saying, Justin, gets a bad rap for making sequels every now
All
and then.
studios do.
But here's the thing: Pixar gets a bad rap for making sequels, but I've not seen Cars 2, so maybe that's why. But I haven't seen a single sequel from Pixar that I haven't actually at least enjoyed. You know what I mean? Like I understand where people are coming from, that they don't want any more sequels from them. But if it means that that's what funds Onward, Luca, Elemental, Elio, and Hoppers, then that's more than fine. That's
what
totally
they have to
fine.
do. That's the business, right? Yeah.
And that's where we are. And it means that we get what? Some movies that people aren't enjoying as much because they're sequels, and some that people are really enjoying, but not enough people are going to, unfortunately. So I think on paper, as I was saying earlier, like this story about a girl who brain hops into a robot beaver to save a glade sounds crazy. I think it's a bunch of bold stretch ideas that you know you need to get across. And Daniel Chong and what he brought from We Bare Bears, clearly it helped to deliver this. And then you've got the jokes that had us laughing consistently, these characters you just fall in love with, all the motivations are crystal clear, and the story is simple to understand but also so rich and full and deep. And I think you know, the Pixar storytellers are they're master storytellers, and their ability to get all these different feelings across and get us coming away from the movie, you know, feeling different ways and taking different lessons away from it is huge. The power of community, working together, unexpected friendships, betrayal, it all works so well in this movie. Pixar continues to not only elevate the visuals in their films, but just you know, consistently finding new ways to pull at those heartstrings, no matter who you are. I adored this movie. I am right there with you guys. I'm happily giving this a blizzard out of 5. But that is it for our spoiler-free review for Hoppers. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to share your thoughts on this movie or any of the movies or series that we cover, well, let me just hop into Justin's brain so I, as him, can tell you how you can reach us. I don't know if that's the right noise.
Yeah, I
don't the noise?
think that's the
noise. Don't like the noise.
I don't know what that noise was. Something sounds like something exiting more than entering.
It was me exiting my body, and now I'm in you.
Okay.
Where's Justin going in all this?
Well,
too? Sorry, I'm just too many questions.
You don't need to listen. Just tell them where they can find us, please.
Well, they can find us. Well, they can reach out to us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com, or they can find us on Twitter at GeekcentricYT, or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric, as well as on TikTok at wearegeekcentric.
And say something I would say,
We're not
so
clever.
It's more believable. Okay.
Now back to my body.
Okay, great. That works. Keep in mind, we also have a ton of other great episodes covering the latest in movies and TV shows, including all our recent spoiler-free reviews for Shrinking Season 3 and Marvel Television's Wonder Man. Plus, we've got our recent episode of This Week in Geek, where we recap our recent adventures at the most magical place on Earth, Disney World, including our first times, last times, and favorite eats around the world at Epcot at the International Festival of the arts. We've also got some great interviews to check out, like our most recent interviews with Hero Finds Tiffin and Zine Seng from Prime Video and Guy Ritchie's Young Sherlock. Darcy and I spoke to these two lovely leads who play Sherlock Holmes and Princess Xuan, and what it was like to perform all the incredible action scenes from throughout the series, as well as what it was like to work with executive producer Guy Ritchie. And Hero even shares with us a character decision for his Sherlock Holmes that Guy Ritchie originally made, but then reversed before they did too much shooting. And Hero said that he was very grateful that the decision was reversed. So you'll have to tune in to find out what could have been for this young Sherlock in this new series. It's a great series. We'll have more thoughts on that soon. We also have our interview out now with some of the cast of Disney Plus and Hulu series Paradise for season 2. We spoke with Sarah Shahi, Nicole Bryden-Bloom, and Chris Marshall. Justin, why don't you maybe tease this one for us?
Well, this was a very fun interview for a really great show that is in its second season on Disney Plus. The first 3 episodes are out now. It is a mystery box show, so if you haven't seen season 1, then you will be lost for season 2. And I say lost because it's very lost coded in some ways, but it's
piqued my interest.
Yeah, it's definitely very different though from all of that, but yeah, it's a good time, and yeah, it was great to talk to the women of this show, who really are, as much as Sterling K. Brown is obviously the main character. There is a lot of women featured in this, and especially given their position in the situation that they are in. I don't want to really get into spoilers, because there's, if you haven't seen it, then you got to see season 1 first. And I definitely don't want to, but these women are absolutely fantastic in this show, and what they set up in season 1, and to see them what they've carried through in season 2 and how things have changed. There was a lot to talk about. So we talked about their craft, we talked about their performances, and building their characters, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to actually talk to them about doing what they do.
Yeah. I mean, even just watching the interview got me hyped to want to watch the show. I will say there is some B-roll in the interview that, again, watch season 1 maybe before going into season 2, and you don't want to get spoiled on anything. But yeah, no, definitely check it out. Be sure to check out all of our interviews either here on your podcast service of choice or over on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric. Lastly, we've got some magical stuff going on right now over at our other channel, Eatcentric, where we've uploaded a bunch of videos featuring all the delicious bites we had during our trip to Disney World. So if you want to get real hungry, head on over and join us on Instagram and TikTok at We Are Eatcentric. But that's it for now, friends. We're just getting started. I'm stoked. We've already got such an excellent animated film already in the hopper. And it's only February 2026. It's going to be huge. Geeks are going to have a great time this year. We're already hearing some really cool stuff about an upcoming sci-fi movie that I can't wait to check out. Darcy, Justin, thank you so much for joining me for this hoppin' spoiler-free review. And as we say, love ya.
Laters.
Peace.
Lizard.